All right, all right. Welcome in, everyone, and welcome the one and only CG and Trading Aloha of YourGrails, blessing us on this Friday. And CG throwing his red, white, and blue, representing the U.S. today in the World Cup.
Yes, sir. The amount of running around I just did during that countdown to make sure I got the game up, got my energy drink, got everything ready.
Yep. Whew. I barely made it. I was going to run and get one more thing, and then I saw it was at 18 seconds. Like, all right, I'm stuck. That's it.
In true honor of us being on during the USA game and realizing my stream just fell dead in line with that, I'm going to give it a shot, see if we can run a real song to give the right feels for the game. Let me see if I can get it going here.
Oh, tell me it's going to be the Hulk Hogan.
How's the volume, guys?
Yes,
that's it.
Yeah, Brandon,
there it is.
Fight for you.
I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
They just scored.
Oh, that's because of Hulk Hogan's song, right?
Yeah. Brandon, you did this.
Sorry, Australia. We'll let that go because I should play it the whole episode, really, but I'm not gonna because I don't know that well.
I mean, yeah. Brandon, you got powers, my friend. Well
so I'm
done,
gonna
indeed.
keep that on reserve. If we feel like we don't have enough momentum, we'll take a pause in the middle of the stream. Yeah. Run that song back as many times as we need to pump the goals up and really get the USA going.
I like it.
That's a quick goal. What's the time on that goal?
10 minutes or 11:03.
Well, Australia was nice knowing you. You never really had a chance.
Boys are looking good though, man. Whew.
You'll love it. You'll love to see it actually in the World Cup and playing. And hopefully
another own goal though. So that's two of their first goals have been own goals. But I mean, you got to put the ball in the spot to get it. But that is crazy. I bet you that's some never been done before type of stuff.
Only their second game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the very first game, same thing. I mean, I know they ended up winning 3-0 or whatever it was, but the first goal was very similar, an own goal, just kind of put it in front of the net, and good things happen.
Yeah, you'll love to see it. You don't catch me talking soccer or football for you, other nation people. I don't talk it that much, but during World Cup, it's fun to be a fan. It's fun to enjoy. It's kind of like a March Madness feel. It doesn't matter if you're all time always watching basketball. You can get into March Madness. You can get in the World Cup. You can get into these big energy filled moments.
Yeah, it's a great comparison. And there is nothing like, there's nothing that brings people together like rallying around a national team. So, it's people, it's a cool time. And being, hosted in the US for the first time in like 30 years is pretty cool.
Yeah, I keep sitting on the edge of, do I muscle it out to Seattle and get a game in?
It is, I'm a big sports guy, right? So I go to tons of sporting events, and I actually got to see the U.S. play at Lincoln Financial. So I'm a Philadelphia fan, everything. And I got to see them play at the Link, Altidore. I think they ended up winning like 3-0. It was Altidore, Dempsey, like that, Landon Donovan, that era. And it's electric, man. It's, Philadelphia is known to be like rowdy, right? So I'm used to like, we're real sports fans in this city. Sir. And so, I'm used to an electric crowd, but man, these national team games, it's fun. Like if you have not been, it is worth an experience. Like I know, especially nowadays, ticket prices and things get crazy, but there's not much like it. From like a fan experience, crowd experience kind of level. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's really, I love these experiences, and I love how people are getting in a different chance, hearing a lot of the international energy. There's been, the Scottish team has been all over social media, or the Scottish fans have been all over social media for the energy they're bringing. So it's the energy we're going to bring to the stream today, because we have an absolutely electric platform that has been released by two people who it's not just a business, it's a passion. And that tends to be when you find some of the best fits. So these two have mentioned and talked about TCGs as long as I've known them and far before I ever met them. So it is really special to see the connection being made here, the gaps that are being filled, and not just people seeing, oh, there's an opportunity here because it's hyped. People who have been in it all day, every day for years because it's something they love. So I definitely want to hear a little bit more about. Let's go with each of your stories a little bit into the passion of trading card games, collectibles, things like that. And then we'll move into specifically your grails. But CG, if you want to kick us off.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been a collector since birth. I think all of us have that natural collecting, um, and I don't know if maybe it's the crypto side where it's you start to see different things bring like-minded individuals together, or it's just an inherent, innate, like human thing to collect, right? You collect friends, you like everything. There's just a collecting bone, I think, in every person. I just like think that mine's like been amplified, right? Um, and so yeah, I've been a collector for forever. I was big, like I said, big sports guy. So unfortunately, like as a kid, like I was, it's so funny. I was the kid that was like, I got into Pokemon, and I live in a like real rural area. And so we could only get cards at like a local CVS. I used to go and get the 4.99 pack, but then I would flip them. Like I would open the pack and sell them for $1 a card on the school bus. And then I would sell like the hollows for $5, right? And so like I didn't really have many Pokemon cards. I literally only have one card surviving. It's a Charizard PSA 6 that I'll never sell from when I was a kid, because I unfortunately kept all my sports cards, in the wax era, which they're like useless. And I got rid of like all the TCG stuff. But yeah, I've been a collector for many, many years now. More actively, I vended like a little bit. I've had an eBay store for 15, 20 years. Um, it goes in spurts. Like I've always just naturally collected and built into the PC, and then I would just sell like, every so often. Like anyone else, just kind of, hold him. I did a lot. Traditionally I've always bought like 3 or 4 sealed, held the sealed. Once it goes up enough, then I'd sell it to cover my costs. So I'm holding them for free. And then I would buy the slabs that I wanted for my personal collection. And then I always have it packed to rip, right? Because I stream. I have 2 nephews that are really, really big into cards, and there's nothing that excites me more than like seeing them just ripping the packs. And now they're like getting into streaming a little bit. Like they're 7 and 8. So they're at that like age where it's all about streaming and they love watching it. And now they're having fun doing it. So come like full circle, which is awesome. But yeah, I've been in the collecting side of things for a long time. Not even just cards, just really across like any vertical. But cards has definitely been the passion. Pokemon more so. Luckily about 3 years ago, I really started getting into One Piece, and so I've kind of rode that TCG wave. But yeah, man, it's been a long time. This is, like you said, this was a passion project that where I can only shout loud enough, like I want this on our chain, I want this on our chain, and then eventually it's just like, screw it, I'm gonna do it myself, or find people that are better than me that can actually make it happen. Shout out Polly, but and Zach here.
Yeah, no, it's man, a similar story, and it's just kind of crazy how it all came together in the last. Really, I mean, I think we started chatting about this maybe 9-10 months ago, and we just were both in a place where we were super busy. We had other projects going on, other commitments that we just couldn't do. We couldn't give it enough time that we wanted to make it a success, and we were still kicking around trying to find the right dev. And we went back and forth on it for like 7 or 8 months, and then we finally locked it in before Build Games, and we're like, this is the perfect opportunity to get everyone together, get them focused, get them like we have 8 weeks, or I think 6 to 8 weeks, I forget how long it was, and really just have to push. So everyone had to commit to like, let's make sure that we got the right people. And we got 4 of us together, and we're going to do this, and we just kept pushing. But my start is pretty much similar. I mean, honestly, like I grew up in the sports era. I was a big sports collector. They weren't worth anything, and I got into Magic the Gathering. Was honestly my first TCG game. I think I was like maybe 11 or 12 right after it came out in like 93, 94 or something like that. And I played that pretty heavily for a very, very long time. And unfortunately, those cards all have been lost in the many moves that I've done over the years. I tried to find them like 6-7 years ago, but it's just my mom was like, I don't know where they are. And she sent me the sports cards, and I ended up like bulk selling most of them because they were all from that junk wax era. But then about, I would say 8 or 9 years ago, I got back into heavy collecting Pokemon again. Try to get back into Magic, but I just never really felt like the same connection as I did with a child. So I wanted to like start over. So I started heavy collecting Pokemon, and then when my kids started getting older, they started enjoying it. So then we started ripping together, and then we started collecting together, and we started going to shows together. And like, I want to start teaching them some business stuff and financial related things. I'm like, let's start vending together as well. And they loved it. So we've been doing that for a couple of years now, and we have a show this weekend that we're going to be at all weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and they're super pumped about it. So gets more time with them. We enjoy the hobby together. And then we're so passionate about it. Let's turn it into a real business. And that's really where this kicked off like almost 10, 11 months ago, is the conversation of how can we make it happen? And then the team came together, and here we are with the support of everyone around us and the community and the foundation. It's been fantastic.
It's been, even hearing those stories, it's really special to hear, because you hear this connection back to childhood. You hear this connection back to a re-falling in love with it as you get later in life. And for me, NFTs kind of brought back that old collector addiction that I had when I was a kid. I used to have to, I still have, I sent you guys it, or I posted it. I still have my original binder with all the first edition, everything Pokemon cards in it. Finally got it back. But I used to have to, my parents would say every home run I hit, I got packs of Pokemon cards and stuff.
Yeah.
So they put the pressure on me in the sports world to produce. And I'll tell you, I was swinging for the fences every single time. So it was a special
That's
moment.
so funny you say that. I had a similar, like I wrestled growing up. So mine was like, if I'd win a tournament, right? Because it started out with like pins, but then I was getting too many packs. Because at first, like, I don't know if your parents were the same when Pokemon first came on the scene, like, I remember like parents didn't like it, right? Because it's like, what is this thing coming from overseas? Like, that's my kids want to spend money on. It's a waste of money, right? Like, go buy sports cards. So my parents were really initially like against it. So I again had to work for it, right? Because they're like, you're spending your tour money on what? Like what are these pokey things? So it took them a while to come around with, but it is funny. There is that nostalgia, right? Like I still have, you're saying the junk wax era, like my grandfather for like the first 15 years of my life, like our Christmas gift was the sealed tops, baseball set. And I still have those, right? Like sealed, they're sitting in the garage, sealed like in the cases. But yeah, the Pokemon, there is something about that nostalgia that brings it like full circle. And like you said, being able to do it with kids and all that. And yeah, it's fun. There's nothing like it. It's really hard to explain that dopamine kind of hit you get from the cards.
Yeah, I like that it brought a lot of excitement back. I think 2020 helped, of course. Everybody got their collector bug back, but NFTs pushed that. You felt that euphoric feeling again. You remembered your childhood, the first NFT that you minted from dark to, it's just a shadow to, oh, it came to life. It's now, it's now there. And that first moment of going, ooh, I remember this. And of course the prices were a bit ridiculous compared to trading cards, but we were older, money was a little bit easier access at the time. And so it made sense in our weird world. Now I'm seeing how TCGs are getting pulled together in these companies, put on chain, gotchas. And I think just like me, there's a lot of people that have been heavy in this world, but have been gone for a while. We've been gone for a while. Maybe NFTs got us back temporarily, but we've always been interested / excited, but maybe we haven't stepped the foot fully back. And I want to come from that angle today and understanding what this new era is, understanding how you guys are attacking it. And if you could just start out with a little bit more about YourGrails, because I looked on the site and there were a lot more things than I even knew with lending and different things like that. So if you want to give me the elevator pitch, the starting point, and then we'll dive into individual pieces.
Yeah. I think the is obviously right. We're not the first ones to do this, right? We're not reinventing the wheel, but we've had the benefit of watching from the sidelines, right? Like we are active users. I had been active users of other platforms, right? So I know as a collector myself, like what I liked, what I didn't. The lack of transparency in the industry is massive. There's just so much trust or degen, whatever way you want to spend it, where people just either want to gamble or the people are just outwardly trusting that until you actually peel back the curtains of, the industry as a whole It's like a little scary once you do. So actually, I recommend that you don't. But so we had the benefit of building, like it's either we were talking about the other day. It's like you can either preach it or you can do it, right? And so if we want to, besides like, not only do we want to provide a good collector experience and good user experience, but we want to positively affect the industry because we believe in both of these, right? We believe in the TCG side. We believe in bringing businesses on chain, right? And the benefits of having a company and products use the blockchain the way that it's intended to be used. And it's just other people weren't doing it, right? And they weren't transparent about the things that, some of the numbers are a little fudged here and there. And so again, like we set out to not only just bring this, to Avalanche for the volume and transactions and all the benefits of having something like this on our native chain, but we wanted to figure out like, okay, how can we also target a better user experience, better EV, better buyback, whatever it might be, but then also like, how do we more legitimize this industry, right? Like of say the TCGs on chain, for example, right? Because it's growing at a rate to where it's like we're not just targeting just maybe the Web3 side, right? But we want to make it attractive to Web2, and it's just there was just a massive lack of transparency. So we kind of tackled it from that way of being outwardly transparent, having stuff verifiable on chain, better user experience. We are actually collectors, right? A lot of times what you see from these other platforms is they're the business, they're the tech side of things, and then they'll go out and they're hire like a KOL collector to be the face, but they didn't actually build it, right? They weren't involved in the code, the back end stuff. We're involved in every process. So we are for the collector, even down to the code and how the site operates, as opposed to a company that goes out and hires a KOL collector to be a face, and then they tend, then they're like, oh, we're for the collector. It's like, no, if you actually look at what you're doing behind the scenes, you're not for the collector at all, right? So it was really, again, just trying to, bring it back. It's trying to bring what we liked and what we saw to our native chain, do it in a way that's going to be better for the collector, and then also try and, fix things that we saw in the industry that we didn't like.
Yep.
And I believe we're off to a great start doing all of those.
Yeah, I love kind of every decision we've made has been in the best interest of the user up to this point, and I think that's the motto that we're going to stay with forever. It's because if the collector is not having a good experience, then they're going to turn away from the hobby and turn away from everything as a whole, and that's what you see across the board. Like if we're talking, take this all the way back pre-crypto, all this other stuff. You go in a local card shop, they give you a stink eye, you don't feel welcome, you feel like you're being overcharged. You're not going to go back, and potentially you're not going to go back to the hobby. You're going to go find another LCS or another vendor until you feel welcome or until you find a product that works for you, and you're going to become a loyal customer for them. And I think that's our angle. And not to say that it's us versus them, because there's space for everybody in the industry. Because I mean, before all this existed, in each state, there's thousands of local card shops across each state. Within that, there's thousands more vendors, which all have plenty of volume, all have plenty of business. They're still in the network, and they all work together. I've met so many great vendors and card store owners going to different events, and nobody's ever talking down to each other. We're trying to network, grow the collection, grow the hobby. And I think we can translate that to on-chain pretty easily. If there's plenty of demand, there's plenty of supply, and there is plenty of opportunity for everybody. The more we work together to bring retail users and consumers and collectors on chain, the better. So it's not just a crypto project, it's going to be a collector project at some point, because Web2 people are going to come on. They're still going to use the same crypto rails. It's going to be in the background, which has really always been the intent of bringing crypto products to the masses. They don't know that they're using it. And it's still verifiable through us with Chainlink. It's still all done on the back end. If you really want to see it, you can. It's right there. The odds update in real time. And if that's not something you're interested in, and you don't care that you might be getting something that you're not being shown up front, and you feel loyal to a different site, that's fine too. But we're always going to be the ones that put the transparency first and foremost, and hopefully that continues to help us grow and scale.
Yeah, transparency is so important. And you guys point out a lot of things using Chainlink. Really, I think from the outside, again, people like me or people that are still 1 foot out but looking hard into this industry, in this gotcha, and trying to figure out our place in this new generation of doing things on chain, doing things online, and getting from where you still have the physical, but you have the option of digital or vice versa. Looking at transparency, like when you go into this aspect of ripping a pack, okay, so I'm coming on, I got my pack, I'm ripping the pack. How does that work on the back end? Is somebody ripping a pack on the back end at some point and then feeding it into a system that would then be that digital pack? Or how would I be looking at as a user on the trust side on the back end of how that gets formulated?
So if it were talking actual sealed products being ripped, it's definitely, not only is it tougher transparency wise, but it's also tougher because there are a lot of bad actors out there, especially with the new capabilities and technologies, being able to weigh packs, scan packs in some cases. I think sealed single packs is probably not something that we're going to offer anytime in the near future, because of it just draws a lot of questions and concerns from collectors, especially even buying them in LCS local card stores or at shows. You don't know if the guys are weighing the packs or scanning the packs. It's just a dangerous area to get involved in. I think, like when we're talking about like booster boxes and sealed display cases, different story. It's a little bit easier to handle, and something that we're also looking at. But if we're going to go into like non-graded slabs, which we are talking about, and talking about like raw single cards, it would be a matter of like because some of these are available on certain sites where they offer raw cards, but a lot of the times it's the stock image of the card from TCG Player or wherever the actual image is held. But if you're going to do an honest and transparent raw card system, you have to have the actual card in-house. It has to be like very ultra high quality scanned front and back, because you got conditioning standards. You got to make sure people want to see centering, people want to see all the corners in detail. And if you don't do it that way, you open up a whole lot of doors for people redeeming the product, getting it, and being like, there's whitening all over this, the side is scratched, like this is not the card that you showed online. Do you guys even have it in stock, or are you buying it off of TCG Player or eBay and sending it to me after I do it and redeem it, so you don't actually have to purchase the inventory? Like, if we're going to go into the raw card route, which we are exploring, which is a little bit alpha, but it's down the road, it would be set up in a way that, again, is transparent and builds trust with the users.
Yeah, and I would say, just in this day and age, from a pure collector, just PSA, like public service announcement, don't ever buy a raw pack in 2026. You want to buy a sealed box and get the packs yourself with the technology, like he mentioned, of people. Unless a sealed pack, even you see the scalpers and people like they'll weigh those, right? So with all the weighing and people trying to get a leg up, it's never net positive. I mean, one, it's never really net positive to rip a pack unless you're going to hold for a long time. But if you're trying to buy I wouldn't never recommend buying singles. I would if you only have the $10, save it up, wait till you can buy a blister box or a booster box. Like, you want to get a box. If you don't want to buy a single pack in 2026 at this point anymore in the hobby. I would, unless you have all those tools and you're using them, I would kind of highly recommend staying away from that. Just as a whole.
That's good. That's good heads up. I have heard a little bit of information around that and how advanced people have gotten with that. And it's very legitimate to look at that, because you could easily, seems like people reseal them fairly easily. And that's kind of my question too, is going into that.
Yeah, that's like the big issue that Whatnot's going into, right? You see all the time of a Whatnot streamer they're like, oh, dude, that's like, that card shouldn't even be in that pack, right? So then clearly they had resealed the pack, right? They probably opened a booster box, weighed the cards, took the hit packs out. Then they, so for example, like Whatnot, the biggest thing is you could have two booster boxes, right? You open both of them, you weigh them both, you take all the heavy cards out, then you're left with just the light cards or the light packs. And those are the ones that you sell to your users. And so there's that route. And then there's also the people that go a step further. They open, they take the hits out, and then they put another card in. But sometimes they're not even smart enough. They'll put another card from a different set. And then it's like, dude, how did that come out of your sealed pack? Right. So, and again, this is unverifiable stuff, right? This is why it's important. And this is where, crypto wins in the long run, is like crypto can get that negative connotation, but on chain and provenance and those things matter. And there is something to be said for that. And that's why we're going about doing it that way. And that's why even our randomness goes to the chain link randomness. So it's not just, some gotchas, they can hold their grails to the end, right? and you know, they put it into their code and they black box it that way. And like ours is purely random and on-chain verified. Like we're using all the benefits that the blockchain offers to provide that better collector experience. Like the Grail could come out in the very first hit in our pack, right? It's not like it's, oh, there's going to be 2,000 cards, we're going to save it to the last one here, right? And so it could come out, and then again, like, you know, on other sites too. And again, I'm not trying to talk about other sites because, like Zach said, you know, there are benefits to everybody. It's not really a competition. I'm talking about them in the just what differentiates YourGrails, right? And I don't mean it in the negative. I'm just saying, like, this is how we can improve the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
So, for example, like if there's an EV on a pack, right? Like your expected value. If a Grail gets hit on some other sites, they list the EV for the pack when they fill it. It doesn't adjust real time. So when that Grail gets hit, if you're not paying attention and you see the Grails out, that plus 52 EV or whatever, it might instantly drop down to 45 or to 40, but you don't know because it doesn't update real time. And so these are all issues that we saw as collectors using other platforms that were like, this is not right. And so we set out to fix all of those through YourGrails. And I think ultimately that is what will help propel us down the road, is because we are going to have that better user experience, because we will shut down a pack if the EV is not positive and we've done it, right? If it's not user positive.
Yep.
So if you look at the user experience and you look at opening pack, what the experience is on your site. You're in beta right now. Not everybody has had a chance to jump in, but the demand has still been insane. It's been incredible to see. But walk us through, like, what are your options? You're coming in, you're fresh. I haven't bought a digital card. I haven't bought Pokemon cards since when they first came out when I was a kid. How do I attack this thing now? What are my options walking in? How can I go about entering this world, and where are the lanes I can enter YourGrails at?
Yeah, so I think there's two things. It depends on kind of what appeals to you as a user or a collector. Like, you first come into the site, obviously right now, closed beta, we've got the two offerings, the $50 Pokemon pack and the $100 pack. $100 pack's been sold out since day one, which we're rectifying, and we should have back up within the next, I would say, 10 to 12 days, just working out some final issues. You can choose one of those, and you can see, you know, right up front what the odds are to hit each type of card, what the expected value is on the return of the pack, which is positive. We'll always maintain it'll to be positive, at least by, I think we're targeting 5% minimum, but also trying to adjust it, especially for the early users and testers, to reward their dedication and commitment to help us kind of grow. And you can see, you know, by breakdown. Yeah.
Just so we don't skip over it for anybody who's not as familiar, walk us through EV positive and why that's so important for somebody coming to the site.
Yeah, so and it's not only just the site. I think it's important as the TCG as a whole. So the expected value is the average return you're going to get per pack that you open. So on average, you should return, let's say on a $50 pack, you should return at least at $52.50 value of a card on average, as long as you keep opening. Now, it's important to note that because if you're ripping single sealed packs in Pokemon and you're a collector and you like to grade, every single pack that you open is a negative EV, and it's a negative EV by a lot. And I'm talking, I think the last time I looked, I think negative 30% in the EV on a Crown Zenith pack is the best you can get, because Crown Zenith had a great hit rate. But everything else is even worse. Like, you talk 151, you go back even further where, like, you know, base set packs are hundreds of dollars. It's crazy. And then not only that, you open a pack and get a good hit and you're a grader, then you have to send it into grade, and then you have to rely on PSA or whoever's service, their subjectability on, like, what a 10 is, what a 9 is. You get back an 8, and now the card's worth exactly what it was raw. You spent money to grade. Now your EV is even lower. So for graded card collectors, EV is extremely important. And that's why I think gachas have been so successful, is because no matter what, you're coming out with a graded asset that you wouldn't get. You don't have to deal with the grading process. And you potentially, like, as long as you continue to rip and pull, your expected return is going to be positive over time, as long as the site is transparent with their odds front and change in real time, which ours do. Every pack that's pulled, the odds are adjusted on the site in real time. So I think for that aspect, it's incredibly important to understand, not only as a person using gachas, but as a collector as a whole, especially if you're getting new into it and you want to start getting into graded cards, and you think that ripping packs will get you there easier. You're actually expected to lose a ton more money ripping packs than you are just going onto a site and trying to get what you want, or even buying off the marketplace.
Yeah, and if you are someone that is already ripping digital packs, please, I challenge you, please go to the sites that you call home or whatever you're using and demand transparency in their EV. Ask to see the stuff, and when they can't or won't do it, then come check out YourGrails, because we will, and you will find a better user experience here with us. But we want to get to the point where what we're doing affects the industry in a positive way. And so, like, really, I mean, I'm telling you, go to these sites, demand to see these things, or not demand, but ask to see them. And then you'll be surprised that you won't, or they won't share it, or they can't, because they're not doing it the way that we're doing it. And so then come check us out and you'll have a better user experience.
And the bigger they get, honestly, if you watch the EVs, the smaller they go very fast. And there are some sites out there that are offering a flat 0% return. And so you have no edge at all. You're likely to lose 85% chance with no expected return, which some can handle because they do the volume and then they do other things really well. But it's just, as a user, you should understand all of those nuances and dig into the product that you're using before you start ripping, which I know a lot of us don't do, especially on the Web3 crypto side. We're like, new project, let's just fucking throw some money at it. But if you dig into the docs and the details, like, do some due diligence on it, you'll find yourself a better experience and probably a better return if you just do the homework.
I think this information is super, super important. And just to maybe finish that topic of EV, when hearing something where things will stay consistently positive EV, it's very in your mind, like, okay, well, obviously, why wouldn't I buy? But how does that exactly work? How do you as a company keep things at positive EV and still produce it and make it a great experience for both sides, both the collector as well as the company itself?
Yeah, so I think you got it? I got it.
Go ahead. You can.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple ways we do it. One is sourcing below our cost, having relationships with excellent suppliers, excellent card store owners, and an excellent network. We have members on the team that we brought in specifically for their depth of knowledge, both as a previous card owner, networker, logistics and supply, and he's tied into everyone and everything and has been for 20 plus years. So his connection has allowed us to kind of secure those pipelines for supply to get us under cost, to make sure that we can continue to maintain that EV. The second one is obviously the small buyback at 90%, right? So you pull a card, you don't like it, you sell it back at 90%. So we take a little bit additional fees there to reinvest back into the inventory. At this point, I mean, honestly, no one on the team has taken or plans to take a single dime. It has all gone back into inventory and hyper-scaling as fast as we possibly can. And that's been our goal, is to build this into the true collector experience. So honestly, we're doing everything we can to both keep the customer extremely happy as well as scale as fast as we can for any revenue we generate.
Yeah. And it also helps that the cards just keep going up too, right? Because we had someone that hit, like you said, over time you expect the positive, right? Like, let's say you rip 100, you should come out the plus 50. Like, but if you just rip one, right, you don't know which way it's going. And so we've had one where they ripped, it was a $50 pack, they got like a $45 card. Well, then a week later, I got a DM. It's like, yo, this card's already $60, right? And so sometimes you might even come out negative from the pack rip, but it's already graded. So if you just wait a little bit, and in this case, it was only not even 2 weeks, and now the card's already up from when they first got it, even though they were technically at a negative EV. Now they're sitting on a $60 card, so now they're plus 10. So that helps too. But yeah, it definitely comes down to just being, again, we're not like a tech team that put this together, and then we've been living this, right? Like, Zac is vending boots on the ground at card shows. Like, we've had people that had a brick and mortar store on the team for 10 plus years down in Miami, right? Like, so this is our passion. We kind of already had a lot of the connections and network in the industry. It was hindsight, it's like, why didn't we do this like forever ago? Like, we had all the pieces. But yeah, I mean, I guess also shout out Bill Games for kind of sometimes, even like as a student, when your back's up against the wall, when that deadline's in, it forces you to, finally sometimes whip out your best work. And maybe that was the catalyst we needed to finally be like, all right, let's stop talking about this and let's do it. So yeah,
and huge shout out to Polypup for making it all happen. I mean, from where we entered and him having to do all the back end stuff on Bill Games to where the site is today, and the short period of time between those two things, he has done so many improvements. It is just unbelievable to see that guy work. And he's already hard at work on the V2 improvements from all the data and feedback we've gotten from the closed beta, and he's already on track to turn those around by next week. And so we're just trying to play catch up on the inventory side now to get it back up and running.
Because again, you'll see like that user experience and feedback is our number one priority. Like on our listed thing, like that is our number one. And you'll see right across the top of our site, it says like, hey, we are in beta. If you have any feedback, like that, we use that, right? Like he's implemented even when we were in that first week when we're going live, stress testing, trying to keep up with the packs. Like he's the feedback that I think Gribbly gave a bunch, and then he would DM me before I could even respond to his DM saying like, oh, I'll pass this along. He's like, oh, never mind, Polypup already implemented it, right? So that feedback and suggestion, if it's like something that makes sense, it's instantly on the site sometimes. And so yeah, he's been absolutely crushing it. And I think we just scored again.
Without the Hulk Hogan song?
Without the Hulk Hogan song.
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, we sure did.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, yeah, shout out to Avalanche also coming in, commenting on the stream and reposting the stream.
Awesome.
So if you have, please, if you're watching right now, jump over to X, throw a comment, like it, repost it. This stream will be recorded on X, so it'll be distributed out. We'll also clip it up. But yeah, any help, it's huge for us. We talk about the ecosystem. We talk about build games. We talk about things that are, there's a lot of complaining that gets done in the ecosystem, but these are moments where we can help each other. We can amplify. And that means a lot. Just putting a repost out there, getting the content out there so that people can learn about YourGrails. Maybe they're like me. They've been on the cusp of trying to figure out where they fit into this lane or if they fit into this lane, and they just need a conversation. They need to understand why YourGrails makes sense and why it may be one of the best options, even if being a new option. So I've been enjoying already hearing some of these different aspects of it. It's also fun to hear kind of where your guys' edge is or what keeps the platform going in some of these plus EV for users, but also, hey, we take out the convenience of selling it back at 90% can also be our benefit. So we're both winning. The other thing a lot of people don't realize is grading has been a extremely backed up, extremely expensive process. When I was looking at cards, even as a casual person, to send them in, it was astronomical, the price, even 2 years ago, and it's been crazy since then. So having things pre-graded is a huge benefit for users.
Yeah, and it's the gradings also become very overwhelming for a lot of people, right? Like as more money enters the space and you start entering the point where people are investing, right? Like there's people, it is crossing that collectible to investment area. And so when that sort of capital gets, inserted into a hobby, things start to have, so you've seen it with PSA. It's where now when you're grading a card, you got to figure out what the value kind of is. And then if it grades well, it might charge more. And so before it used to just be like, here's my card, here's $30, grade it, right? Like that's not even the thing. And now there's so many, as more and more cards come out and there's different, you got to make sure you're getting, especially like on the One Piece side of things, right? You leave Pokemon, One Piece can be very confusing because you'll have cards that are similar, but they might be stamped. And there's like little nuances that are different, and making sure it's categorized the right way when you send it in. And yeah, grading has become very, very complicated. It's very time consuming. And so again, that's another reason that you're seeing the success of these gotchas is like people live in that, that fast food industry where it's like, I want this, I want it now, and I will pay for it. And, it's like there is so much to be had, and all the legwork to getting it it just makes sense. And now, so many people, like it's so funny. You hop on, they've been calling like top for months and months in the thing in certain industries. It's been like 9 months now. The Pokemon top has been coming, but you're starting to, I don't even think we've started to see, you're seeing everything align perfectly for gotchas to really start to do well, is because you're having more and more of them come onto the scene, right? The demand to get the slabs in. You have all, like you mentioned, with PSA is now on like an 8-month wait. Not even open for submissions right now. What you have in there, the backlog is taking up. You're starting to see it even at the you know, the collecticons and these conferences, or not conferences, like what this weekend, help me out here, Zach.
Collecticon.
Yeah, but like the just like yeah, the events,
The Pokemon national events that they're
yeah, just like, well, you're just like your weekly card event. I'm blanking on like a name, but yeah, you know, card show. Thank you, Jesus. I don't know why I was blanking on show, but yeah, you're starting to see, like, I've seen vendors where it's like, oh, you know, I'm gonna skip this one. Like I just don't have the supply, or like I saw someone came in, bought my whole table. Like the more and more that people are getting their whole table bought out and things like that's happening at paces that we've never really seen before.
Yeah.
Because it is just like, you know, you're trying to get these on chain. And what we've even seen at YourGrails, which is really, really nice, is it's like, yeah, why we have, you know, amongst the industry leading 90% buyback, a lot of people are holding, right? Because they're, one, we were very, very, especially the initial, we, true to our name, right? We went out and got grails. We got cards that people would want. We didn't just get fluff cards, you know, to fill bins, you know, and make the packs, you know, full. Like we went and got cards that we believed if people held would do well over time. Because again, we want that good user experience. We want them to get Pokemon that they're familiar with. Like you said, if you're coming back into the industry, you might not know anything outside of, you know, the initial Gen 1 starters, right?
Yeah.
And so we made sure like we're very heavy in the Pokemon that people recognize, like the Pikachu, your Charmander, your Charizards, Mew, Mewtwo, the stuff that people that had the connection to. And then, you know, outside of that, with the immersion, you know, full art within Pokemon, we wanted to get out and get really cool visual cards, right? So even if it's like, hey, this might be a newer card, I don't really know if I like this Pokemon, like, man, that card is awesome looking, though, right? Or this is really cool. This is a Pokemon card. And so I think we've even seen that just on the card level that we have on our site compared to others has been a very positive user experience as well.
Yeah, and I think we make that a point, especially as we kind of grow, and there's other larger ones out there that, you know, there's founders and people that own them that aren't really necessarily TCG passionate collectors, but like we are. So even if we have a supplier who's giving us things, like we're asking for certain ranges, but we're going out personally and hunting those rare sought after cards to put in our system so that we have the best selection and cards that resonate with users that actually want, not just a random high price card. Like we want it to actually mean something. Like there's a reason we don't have a Van Gogh Pikachu on YourGrails. One, there's like hundreds of thousands of them, and you know, cool, it's a sought after card, but like you can get it anywhere. We want to get cards that are actually unique, rare, and put those at the top. And I think the other thing that is important to mention too, like when you talk about, it's kind of still, we're still kind of operating in like 2005 rails at this point when it comes to selling. I think is important to mention because, you know, as CG's mentioned that, you know, has an eBay store for a long time. I've operated an eBay store for a very long time on different niches. Like you get destroyed as a seller on fees, like absolutely wrecked. It's 13% off the top, no matter what. These when you bring them on chain, like you potentially could just pay 0, or some marketplaces are charging a small fee, but it's way less than 13%. It's in low single digits, if anything. So you can easily sell your entire inventory. And I think there is a huge opportunity there that still is an area to explore as bringing cards in, not just for the gacha side of the house, but for marketplace trading, all sorts of aspects that you can't do in a lot of places. And if you want to, you're forced to eat those 13% fees off your asking price to give to eBay and then to ship out, which is an additional fee, or to promote your listing, which is an additional fee. Or you have to go bring it to a card show and try to sell it to a vendor who's going to give you even less because they have to eat those fees. So you're going to get maybe 80% to 90%, depending on the card. And if they're just small time collectors, you might even get as low as 70 to 75%. So there's still a huge opportunity here to bring more cards and more collectibles on chain, just as a way to buy and sell on top of the gacha platforms.
Yeah, which so many people jump to. It's like, oh, the gacha, it's gambling, right? Well, but no, the model makes sense for all those things that Zach just talked about. Is there is a reason that they're doing well. There is a reason that the demand is there. It's not just, you know, like, yeah, there is some aspect and some people like certain things about them. But if you're, you know, all those things that he just mentioned are real legitimate, you know, concerns in the industry outside of, you know, something being fixed now, bringing it on chain that you can do. Because yeah, someone like you said 13. I think eBay sometimes 13 to 18%, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to pay to promote, especially if you haven't had a store for a while, right? And your things are low, like you're going to get lost in there. And so it can get very crazy. And then selling, like everyone always thinks about buying. Nobody thinks, how do I sell? Right. And then until you're ready to sell, do you realize, like, wow, that it's rough out there. Right. And so this is a real need that, gotchas are addressing as a whole. And just providing, again, just a better user experience to what is currently out there. And then, hopefully you get some competition, right? Like hopefully that makes things a little tighter at, everywhere else. And maybe you see competitor to eBay arise at some point, or they come down a little bit, but who knows?
Yeah, because if you think about it, I mean, you buy a card and pull a card on the same place and you want to sell it. You go to eBay, you're losing 13 to 18% off the top. Or you could sell it back immediately and within that week period and get 90%. Either way, you're still coming out ahead on chain, just pulling through the gotcha, then saying, cool, I bought this card, now I want to sell it. You have to wait for it to appreciate almost 15 to 20% just to break even on eBay. If you buy it locally or in person or redeem it somewhere else. It's just so much easier and user friendly and honestly monetarily in your favor to do it on chain.
That's what I've noticed is I mean, I'm a all-time buyer, no seller, and maybe not the best for it, but this is much smoother. I mean, even when I went back to find my cards and then even looking at grading and things, it was all for me who's been around for a while and not really touched them. It was like, this is too much. Like thinking about getting them graded, seeing the cost of grading, like the whole experience, physical, like getting back in, trying to figure it out yourself. It wasn't for me. It basically was, I'm just not going to deal with this. I'm going to put the binder back on the side and everything. So this gotcha experience and this re-entry piece almost is a little bit more exciting to me because I'm also a little bit, I'm an unk true to form. I see the new cards and I'm thinking, that's not a Pokemon. What is that thing? Like what is there a 1,000 billion Pokemon now? Like I'm instantly just a hater just because I'm from this generation of there was this many Pokemon that existed and there weren't a trillion. I get from a brand it had to happen, but I still sit there and think I don't see the full. To me, it's not topped until I see the full generation of mine, some of you guys, depending what ages you are, coming back to get the originals, because our generation will go heavy into the original set. And I don't see those prices skyrocketing as quickly as some of these new age sets. And it's not coming from just me. I read some articles around some of the people deep in this, and that really gave me that idea, which is, oh, that makes a ton of sense because when I come back and people I know come back real heavy, like fully, they'll go chase the cards they know. They'll tap the new ones, but I really feel there'll be a heavy weight put on the original set like a true collector would do. They usually always go old first.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree.
Yeah, the whole modern versus vintage debate is something, and it's always funny too, especially when one, it starts to do well or takes off a little bit more than the other. And it is always curious to see the rotation in and out between the two and how they hold over time traditionally. And it's always just something, especially on the Pokemon side, that's very interesting to watch. Especially like you have that collector mindset where you're like, yeah, I want the first, right? I want the OG. I want the stuff that I grew up with. And like you said, as you see more people come back, but for some people that's different things, right? Pokemon is definitely one of those brands that has spanned across many generations now at this point. And what what we grew up with is different starters than what my nephews grew up with, or what Zach's sons or kids may have grown up with. And so yeah, it's just it is very, very interesting to always watch that dynamic within the hobby between the vintage and modern.
Yeah, and when you look at your platform, it's hard not to notice lending on the site.
Mhm.
Talk to me about how lending plays in this. I know you're from Salvor. It's not completely out of your background. How does lending in this atmosphere play into things?
Yeah, so I think to me it made sense, and at the time when we drew it up, nobody else was doing it, and so when you look at like someone like myself that's a collector, right? When I've, before our site was live and we're now where I will be collecting, I was across all these other platforms, right? I have accounts on every single one. And the amount of sideline capital in cardboard is a whole industry in itself, right? Where I'm collecting, I can hold, right? I'm not looking for just quick flip. I do a little bit of everything, right? I have some more in my portfolio for quick flips. I have some in my PC. I have some for, year hold, 5 hold, whatever it might be. But, with that, it can lock up a bunch of capital. I mean, the amount of, especially nowadays, the amount of, $10,000 cards that are being sold every single day is insane. Yeah. You have people that are sitting on multiple hundreds of $1,000s of cardboard portfolio, and that's sideline capital, right? The only way to get access to that is just like any other coin or token is you got to sell it, right? They might not always want to sell it. What if you could do a loan system, right? It's got to the point where there is stability within certain sets, in certain markets. And just like anything else, it was like, why not provide it a better service, right? And so, you're starting to see now, I think I've seen, some viral stuff where people were taking it to like some bigger cards and going to like a pawn shop and getting stuff. So again, we're not like, this isn't, we're groundbreaking thing, but it's, I think it is still a very, very underserved area to where, again, just providing access to funds, right? You have people now that are treating this as serious investments and that are building very, very large portfolios. And as you know, as an investor, okay. I'm back. As you know, as an investor or entrepreneur, like capital is key, right? And when you have that sidelined, even if it is appreciating, like, you need money to make money, right? And so being able to tap in and unlock that can be crucial, especially, I don't think we're quite there yet, but to have the infrastructure and the rails built for when we get to it was very, very important for us, because I think it's going to happen really, really soon. Because of just how the way the upward trajectory of the cards, the demand for it, and the way that everything's kind of going, that it makes sense.
Yeah, it's really nice to see features like that, because that again comes from a place of understanding what people are looking for, getting ahead of things early, knowing that, yeah, if I'm really heavily weighed into trading cards and I've got a bunch of stuff, and I'm not necessarily a seller, having access to my funds, we've seen it across crypto, we've seen it across NFTs, we've seen it across all sorts. And so to see it in this realm makes so much sense, especially as you said, the values have been skyrocketing for a while now. It gives you the ability to keep jumping in and taking advantage of opportunities. How does it specifically work though? Is there percents that like has the collateral work? Where does it sit when it's with you guys? Walk us through some of the back end so people can feel confident in using the lending part.
Yeah, so I think right now we're still testing it out, right? So it's still the closed beta feature to make sure that when we do open it up, that it's something that the user enjoys, but it's also something that we can sustain. So right now, I think obviously the card is held in escrow while the loan is being conducted. I believe, if my numbers are right, that I think we take it at 50, no more than 50% FMV. We may have changed that recently, but I think that's where we started, just to see how it worked out and kind of start it on a small scale. And then they have a period of time, honestly, to pay the loan back, or the card gets taken as collateral and then sold to pay off the person who provided the loan.
Yeah, and to clarify that, it will be like it's a peer-to-peer, right? So we are providing the service, right, and we have the rails, but and again, it's addressing like a need, right? Like you want it to be, whereas it's like just as if I had a physical card here, it's like, right, and I want, I have to go to a pawn shop. We just want to build a platform that has access to everything, right? So it will be a peer-to-peer lending platform. We will have it like, it won't be, we don't want it to be too aggressive to where people have that bad user experience, right? So you won't see, it'll probably be more selective where we can set the terms where you won't see like a 90% with crazy fees. Like we don't want it for that. We just want it to provide a service, right? So you will probably see like around that 50%, just a safer loan for both parties. But yeah, it will pull the cards, to where we'll hold them in escrow until the funds are repaid. And similar to like you mentioned, like the salver, if they're not repaid, then then the card goes to the lender.
Yeah, it's always just good to ask some questions. And I know, again, caveat all this with they're in beta, working through a lot of these things. Has it only been about 3
1
weeks?
week. We've
One,
been 1 week
it's like,
old. Yeah.
And in that 1 week, our uptime is about 23 to 24 hours. So it's about being able to stay up and running.
wow.
From demand, not
yeah, pure demand constraint.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize one of the best problems to have, although it doesn't seem like it always at the time, is having an incredible amount of demand and just not enough supply. Because you usually can fix the supply problem. That people are usually very willing to step in financially on a supply problem over a demand problem because it's a lot less work. So I love hearing when companies are in a bit more of a supply shock, because then the momentum starts coming, everything gets figured out, streamlining, you get your relationships with your vendors, the money flows in, and all of a sudden you just see that next leg, you see that next evolution. And what a way to start out with such demand in your first week.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty confident going in, but even our expectations were blown away because, like you said, not only is it beta, it's a closed beta, right? You can't even get in without a code, right? So we tried to even make it harder just to get in, um, and it still blew us like out of the water, which is awesome, right? It meant that, like, again, I think it ultimately came down to that user experience. Like, the cards being pulled were actual grails. Like, you weren't getting this random trainer from some random pack that might be like, we were fine curated cards, the positive EV, and then we didn't even mention our battles, right? The battle mechanic.
Yeah.
You've seen other people try and do it and it doesn't work, right? It gets exploited. Like, ours has been seamless. Really, really fun user experience. You can talk a little bit of trash on the side. You can use the emotes during the battles. Again, you see the verifiable randomness happening live in front of you. Yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. But yeah, I think it was important to note that it was not only just a beta, but a closed invite only beta. And it's still, the demand has been crazy.
Yeah, walk us through. I've gotten the chance to see them. Sorry if I'm talking a little weird. I have a cut on the very tip of my tongue.
Oh,
And
that's the
it's
worst.
easily the most frustrating thing of all time because it turns out the tip of your tongue hits everything possible. So I feel like I'm talking like a complete idiot, but we stay on track. The battles, I've seen them. I've seen people post them. I don't know exactly how they work. Walk us through you trading how you versus CG. You're battling right now. How does it go down? Or what are
Well,
the
I'd say,
odds of having it go
yeah.
down?
First, I think I want to take it back to again, like, we are collectors, right? So we know, like, we grew up, even vending, you see pack battles, right? And so this is our version of bringing what actually happens in the hobby and the industry on chain, right? Not just the, ripping the packs and the degen side of things, or maybe even like the gambling side. Like, we wanted to bring the hobby roots, right? That's why, spoiler alert, alpha alert, like in the V2, you're going to see trading. Like, you're going to see the things that actually happen in the hobby in real life that we grew up doing that are fun. And we are just bringing that whole experience on chain, right? Because what you've seen from the other gotchas is you have the system on the rails, but you don't have that full collector user experience, the entertainment aspect, right? We wanted to tap in more to the entertainment industry side of things as well. And so that's where the kind of pack battles emerge. So yeah, I'll let Zac kind of go through the mechanics and the battles, but I think it was, again, that was important for us to, like, we know this hobby, we live and breathe it, and we wanted to bring not just the cards on chain, but we wanted to bring the full hobby experience, right? Why people have the nostalgia, why people are still collecting, why they want to get their kids in it. It's not just from ripping packs. There's so much more to the hobby that can be exciting and fun, that we can tap into that hasn't been yet. And that is our goal with YourGrails.
Yeah, and I think it's just been a blast, honestly. And I think this is as we said, like V1 of pack battles, and we have so many things in the works that we want to do to improve this, to bring that entertainment, the social aspect into it. Like, there's so many things in the works, but we're just so excited that everyone's been happy with the way it is now. But we're gonna obviously continue to improve it. We've already got amazing plans for it, but the right now the whole process is you come in to the site, you can either rip a pack or you can go to the pack battles. And pack battles is the same thing. You can choose which pack you want to open against somebody. You select it, you create a lobby, you can set it for a time limit of 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. We'll probably extend that at some point. So that way you can be there as it's open. You don't have to just like set it and hope someone shows up. Like if you just want to do it, and you only have 15 minutes, you set up the lobby. If no one shows up, you can recoup your money, or you can choose to battle Grail bot, which is YourGrails' bot that'll come in and rip a pack against you. But obviously everyone's like, oh, House always has edge. Again, comes back to chain link verifiability. You can see that we're not the bot isn't skewed in our favor at all. It's totally verifiable. So then, if you don't want to wait and just want to rip against a bot, you can do that. Or you can send the link to your friend and be like, hey, come battle me. They come in, buy the same pack. You go head to head. You both rip your packs. Once both are verified and revealed, whoever has the higher value pack gets that additional bonus pack and keeps that card, which is also pulled from that same pack pool. So it could be, you could end up pulling a Grail as your battle against somebody else and then pull another Grail as your bonus card, which is absolutely insanity. But
and we've seen that happen.
And we have seen that happen. And the loser still gets to keep the card that they pulled. So there's still that aspect of they walk away with something. So it's not all or nothing. And then, it's had such a good reception to the point that, like, even though it's transparent and verifiable, people are trying to be like, the person that creates the battle has the advantage because they're the home team. Like, it was crazy seeing like this people putting up streaks and being, well, I created the lobby 6 times in a row and I won. So there has to be a skew, and people are going back and forth about, should I join a battle? But it's all transparent, verifiable. People are just having fun, which is really what it boils down to.
Yeah, when you look at, I didn't realize you guys had a YourGrails bot there, especially a closed beta. You're not always going to have somebody there. So amazing to have something that can allow the mechanic to run. Is that all verifiable? Like, how does that work where somebody could check on its randomness, which obviously is the most important thing? Poker, everything people do online are like, the house screwed me. I know they know what the cards are. They got me.
It gives you the transaction hash of the pull after every single reveal to include the battle, the bonus card, anything that is ripped on the site will come with you can just go click on it and go straight and see exactly what happened. And it was legit and totally transparent.
Yeah. And I mean, at this point, you definitely got to shout out Chainlink with the technology, right? That allows us to do that, open transparency. And yeah, like, again, just differentiating even the bonus pack, right? Like, you can see the way that we displayed our mechanic is you see the packs kind of rotating around, right? That's the visual representation of the randomness. But yeah, all that happens so you can like physically see it. But then, like Zach mentioned, you can click, like, for those that are savvy or want to dive in, or even just doing your due diligence, like, you can click in and actually, verify it, because yeah, you would expect but again, we're not building the bot to do like that. We want the bot so it provides that good user experience, so people have someone to battle against. Right now, we didn't really have any issues with lobbies being filled, right? It was actually hard to keep lobbies open, right? Like, I was trying to Tracto. He's a local kind of buddy of mine. Also, like in the Web3 space, he was trying to battle me. And when you make a lobby, it's open for anybody, right? And so he kept creating a lobby, and before I could join, like, someone else would, or then I would create one. So eventually I just had to create 3 lobbies myself and have him just try and join one so we could actually battle each other, because the demand was that kind of crazy, which is a great problem to have. But yeah, it's the battles have been a lot of fun because you can also watch. So like, I did a stream the other day where I just sat in the battle lobby and spectated, right? And like somewhat kind of commented, and it was awesome because you could see, like, it's a $50 pack where someone hit a $100 card and you're like, oh, they won. And then it's like, oh, then they hit a 150. And then the bonus card was like $300. You're like, that was like a, 5, like, everyone walked away winning. Like, and the amount of times that happened was awesome. And so it's just really, really cool. It's exciting. It adds that social layer, right? Like, people are talking, posting their records. We're going to look at doing some fun things around, in V2 around leaderboard. Maybe do like a season aspect. There's some fun ways to kind of highlight the battles even more because the reception has been so positive. But yeah, it's been cool kind of testing out and seeing, and we're already exploring other battle modes and different ways to do things. And there's a lot in the works. Like, we get it a lot because of how, shout out again, Polypub, how polished it was from day one. But this is very much like 1 week old. Like, the amount of times where we showed people and they're like, all right, so how many months have you guys been up? Like, just based off of the numbers that we did, and we're like, no, not months, dude, like days, right? And so, give us some time. We have a lot in our internal roadmap that we want to do. But what you can always expect from us is, we want to bring that excitement. Like, this is the hobby is our passion. The blockchain is our passion. We're going to kind of combine the two and just, ultimately try and drive home. I know I keep saying user experience. I'm trying to think of another thing, but that's really is what is important and drives us with YourGrails.
Yep. And I think out of the battle, and you mentioned it too about trouble filling the lobbies, the private battles is also on the roadmap as well. So that way we don't run into that. If you want to battle someone specific, or streamer versus streamer, or collector versus collector, you just create the lobby, set it to private, share the link, and you're good. You don't have to worry about someone sniping your battle. But all those little feedbacks and nuances, that's the whole reason we did the closed beta, just to capture those. And they're already being churned on by Poly right now.
Yep. And we're able to do private battles because the chain link randomization still ensures randomization and not, something that can be manipulated as opposed to elsewhere.
I didn't know about the spectator aspect. I think that's a fun,
very
little
cool
to that, because I do think a lot of people just like watching streams, especially, pack ripping streams. You open TikTok, there's every other stream is somebody ripping a pack. So to watch a battle go down as a spectator absolutely would be exciting, especially if you're, I was at the moment when this person went against this person and they ripped whatever card, and it's definitely a social moment.
Oh, and again, that's exactly what we want, and that's what we want to build that up even more. But we've already seen that even in the beta, right? Like, there was a whole day where the chat was taken over on X of people like watching other people's battles, right? Seeing Whiskey go for, he had a streak of, I think it ended up finished at like 8, but when he was at 5, they're like, go, because what's the guy that has 11? Squirtle Gang was up at like 11.
11,
and like, can he pass that streak, right? And then unfortunately Knobs was on like an 0-8 streak, and that's when he's like, I'm not joining lobbies, and then he switched and created his own and won. So then he's like, oh, you got to be a home team only, right? Only create the lobbies, don't join. And then then people were joining and winning. Like, it was so fun that people were already doing it. We just tried to find ways to make it even more exciting. And so we're going to build on that too, right? Find ways to even enhance that viewing experience of, I know people, I have a friend IRL that I onboarded to YourGrails, and he was just literally sitting there on his phone watching the battles because it was cool, right? Like, you're getting that kind of everything that you enjoy from doing the packs yourself. You kind of get to live that, and then you want to see what's get hit and what's still in the packs and stuff. So it is a really, really cool experience so far.
Is there going to be, I'm almost imagining, from the content side, I'm almost imagining a grail of some size gets hit and there's an auto clip of that thing that can be distributed or gets distributed by the YourGrails account, so that if we're tapping in, maybe we're not there all day, every day, or we can't see it, you can see somewhat of the highlights of the day from the big grail pulls, and you get to, I don't know what the video looks like. I'm not in the beta right now, but I'm picturing that being a really cool thing to, although if you're there and you're at the battle, that's super cool because you're gonna be like, quote that, oh, I was at this battle, was insane to see. But then everybody who missed it can also be like, oh, they pulled what? Oh my gosh, I was who against who? And that story can explode all over X.
Yeah, what's nice, so even in our beta, you can actually click into a bunch of the previous battles and see what each person pulled. You can actually see not the whole battle relay out from the time standpoint, but you can see the results, right? Very, very visually, which is nice. And you've seen a lot of clips of those kind of go out, or more so screenshots. But yeah, we're definitely exploring. Again, I think you'll see, each iteration of the site before we go fully live, we will continue to enhance each. We're going to build on each. It's not nothing that you see now in week 1 is going to be the final version, right? Even down to maybe even the art, right? We're going to constantly work to improve, the visual components of the site, the experience, those clippable moments, right? Making the ease of getting it out, all those things. Sorry, Zach.
No, you're good. No, and I think you hit exactly what I was going to say. It was a tough decision of post build games. When do we go live for the closed beta? So we wanted to get it out as soon as possible, but we also didn't want to sit and just nitpick and try to make improvements. And it goes 7, 8, 9 months down the road, because there are so many things that we want to do and have available now, which we could do at this moment, but it would just take more time, more testing, make sure that it's secure, make sure that the custody is in place. we want to do all those things. And again, operating on a very heavily bootstrapped budget to get us off the ground. So we had to split between like the grant we got from Build Games and then, you know, bootstrap part of the inventory from our personal collections, and then spending every other dollar we had on inventory or at least the general designs of the website just to get it up so it looks halfway decent as we get to closed beta. But yeah, like as the revenue continues and as we continue to scale, all of those things that we want to improve, the design, the UI, the animation openings, like all those things are top priority for us to get even more polished. It just, there's so many things. So that's why we're like, okay, closed beta, we'll hit like, you know, 15 users, get their feedback, which then obviously ballooned to over 100. Now we have to shut down for like a week and a half, not only for supply, but also to knock out a lot of those improvements at once. We're just going to do a whole tranche of V2 upgrades that we wanted to do for V1 that we have to open. Let's get feedback, prioritize what we want to do for V2, which I think we have now. Use next week to really get those improvements in place, get the supply probably like, you know, 3 to 4x of what we had in the first couple of days we were open, because people want the master packs back. I hear LHB screaming in the chat, he wants to reload the master packs. Gonna happen. We want to get One Piece back. That's it's gonna happen. We've already got it all set up. It's just a matter of just getting it in process correctly to make sure that everything is like transparent, obviously, and then getting the V2 improvements rolled out, which will start happening next week, and we'll be back. I think earliest we'll have a full reload is end next week. Would be the earliest time frame. If not, then I think the following Monday, I think we're ready to roll.
Yeah, you want to hear that. You want to hear that bullishness and that excitement. The LHB, a lot of different of the builders and community members from Avalanche and outside have been just over the moon excited, wanting to participate. Everybody's been talking about it. They either want in, or if they're in, they want more packs and they want to keep having fun. And to hear what you guys are doing, to hear what you're building out, to see you did what I believe is one of what truly great teams do. One of the things truly great teams do, and that's not overthink it. Not over, it's got to be perfect. This has to be perfect. This is because you don't find so many things when you do that. When you put it out, the mass people, even 10 people, 5, any number of people testing your platform will show you errors so much faster. You will get things fixed and improved so much faster. So very bullish on the way you guys attack building by just diving in. You know your product's there, your platform's at a pretty good spot, but then let the users just tap it. Let them test weird things you could never imagine. And then you got a absolute stud like Polypup on the back end, combined with you guys knowing what you're looking for to create this experience that has been, it's been hard to say exactly. Last time I've seen this level of excitement on the chain and in the community. So it just feels good to see that buzz going again. It feels good to see people really that love what they're building because they already loved it before they started building. You can feel that kind of passion.
And I think that was one of the other reasons we wanted to go into closed beta, is because we are so passionate and involved in not only collectibles, but also in the gacha space across the board. Like, we might be overcomplicating something from a perspective of a new user coming in, ripping their first pack, or they're a new person coming into the collectible space. And we invited a few people that were interested and hadn't ripped a pack. And I was like, hey, check out the site. Here's a code. Here's a free pack. Rip it open. Tell me everything you're thinking. And it's like, I wouldn't even have thought of that from like my first entry, because I'm so like, I know exactly what I like. I know what I don't like. Like, I might have a bias one way or another, but at the end of the day, again, we want to bring it back to the user experience. And if there's new collectors out there that don't like something or are demanding something done a certain different way, and that is the vast majority of new collectors' feedback, like, we want to try to find a way to implement that.
We love that. We love to see that. And it's cool that you actually went to some people that aren't traditionally collectors or not traditionally in the space, because I bet that does give you some unique things. Like, okay, if this is the first time that they're entering this bubble, is it too complicated, or do they not understand something that, as somebody who's been around the industry, would immediately know? They're like, oh, I don't actually understand what I'm doing here on this piece. That's a really creative and smart thing to do, bringing in somebody who's unfamiliar.
Yeah, it definitely got us some good feedback. Some that we are implementing right now, and some that we're going to test on a larger scale to see if that's in fact what new collectors want, but it's great feedback nonetheless.
How much longer are you going to be in beta or closed beta for people?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah, I think ultimately, so it's, obviously it's supply demand issue, right? And so closed beta allows us to, kind of at least control that, right? Because once you open it, and the floodgates fully open, right, then we can't control kind of who comes in. I think we did it for two ways. One is it gives a little bit of control, but then two, we're also really, really focused on finding, other ways besides the positive EV, the transparency, all those things that we talked about to reward the early users, right? So we wanted a referral system like you see other referral systems, for example, maybe on like where it's just like a one time, like, oh, here's, X amount of points, or here's one thing for referring someone. So ours with being that 2% off of people that you build in, for the people that you refer, like we wanted to try and find ways that also would reward the early community members, right, for coming to support us. So there is some aspect to that. I think there's like anything, there's always that tipping point where when you can turn or like the faucet on and off, right? And so it's something that we're actively monitoring. I don't know that we have an exact date, even internally, right? Just being transparent, because there is still, I think there's a lot to where early users can benefit from it being a closed beta, even if they don't realize it yet. I think a lot of them, it hasn't fully clicked the benefits of referring someone and using your codes to get people onto the site. So, I think when it makes sense, we certainly will. I don't think we're at that point just yet. But yeah, it's a long way. There's nothing official just yet. We have ideas roughly of where we think it'll pace. We also have like certain metrics that we want to hit, right? Like we've mentioned some other packs that might be coming in the V2. Like we want to have certain things on the site before we fully open it up. But it's also, I think, what you'll see this next week, especially, or maybe even in this downtime, from our socials, what we'll probably be hammering is the importance and the other ways that you can win outside of just the packs or the battles. And so, being that we went live and there was so much excitement early on, I think some of that stuff might have gotten lost, or, just DGens don't read, right? They come in, they want the excitement, they want the experience. And I think when you have a little bit of downtime, we can kind of go back and beat in some of the benefits of what we're currently offering through the referral system and through some other things, especially as we, again, in the V2, we're even going to revamp that, because ultimately we want to find ways to trickle back down to the users of the platform. So I think this next week, you'll see a lot of that from us, from maybe the social side.
Yeah. I think the other milestone will be when we get to that point, from moving from closed beta to beta or just to fully open, is having the redemption and shipping process in place. I think that is one of the key areas that we are focusing on improving in the space as a whole, because most gotchas, the redemption pricing for shipping and estimated time to arrival at your door could be anywhere between 10 days and 2 months. And it's usually very expensive compared to what you should be able to mail a card for. I will give Courtyard their props on this one. They have that solution fully in place and they run it fantastic, but they are the largest and obviously have the money to do so in those relationships. We've got a couple of different ideas in mind of ways we can go about that to make it on par with them and comparable. And we want to make sure, again, that that's a good user experience, because a lot of the complaints we hear from collectors who are on chain is when they go to try to redeem their card, they're paying hundreds of dollars in shipping just to get them their card, and it may take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks for them to get it. 2026 shouldn't be an issue to get something shipped out that take that long and that expensive. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that, and that's something that we have to make sure that we explore, and we haven't fully solved yet. So we want to make sure that that solution is in place before we open the floodgates to everybody, so that there is no negative experience when they go to click that redeem button and they're like, I'm not paying $300 to ship 6 cards.
And we know, like, we're well aware, right? We know the industry standard. The percentage is lower of people that actually physically redeem, right? Because a lot of people, like cards do take up space, right? They like the idea of that, maybe like a nomad lifestyle, or just like less, and having it on chain, holding it, and then they can come back to it in a couple months, years, or whatever it might be. But there are collectors, right? Like I'm a collector. I like there is something to have the tangible asset in front of you. But again, like you'll see it if you go on the timeline, and you'll see it's not always a good user experience, right? Where the shipping could be more than the card in some cases. And it's not even just location, right? It's just whatever service provider they set up or whatever it might be. And so again, like everything that we're doing, we want to try and find ways to do it better than, or at least on par with what we believe the industry standards should be. And we're not going to, you're right, we're not going to lower that just to push something out. So we have our internal standards, which we want to uphold to, and it's just making sure that's all in place, which we're making good progress on that. So hopefully relatively soon.
Yeah, 2 questions, and then we'll look for final thoughts. I know we've had you on for a while now, and it's hard. We, especially with us three, I feel like we could just riff all day, especially if we just started flowing into anything. But looking at the closed beta aspect, do we have potential to get some people? There's people in the chats saying, "Hey, how do I get in? How do I participate here? I'm diehard. I didn't know this was going on chain." Things like that. Maybe we can set up, hey, if you put out a great clip of this stream, if you repost and put out a good clip of the stream, you're going to be prioritized into getting a closed beta access. Things that help you guys get your content out there, get this conversation out there. I think if you guys have them, that might be a fun way to deliver or distribute some of these closed beta. I think they're codes.
Yes, I will say personally, I have a ton of codes. What I like to do and what I probably do is I'll ping like the Avalanche group chat and ask for a bunch of codes to the community members, because again, the codes are very, very important, right? Like we can't stress that enough. If you refer somebody, it's 2% of their, volume, right? That comes back to you in points, which you can turn into packs. So I'd rather, see, the community, if someone use a community members code than my own. So what I'll probably do after this call is I'll put it out. I know, for example, off the top of my head, I know Goose, Whiskey, Gribbly, Wiki. There's a couple people that have a lot of codes that have kind of been posting them. But what I could do is I can maybe gather a short list and have, a bunch that we can give out. But I'd much rather go that route and get you once from our community members, so that way they can kind of continue to win and get some more packs from the people that they refer. But we definitely have some codes floating around there. Again, it's closed beta, but it's like a closed open beta, if that makes sense. So there are still some codes floating around. There's not a ton, right? It is still very selective, as they can only generate. So the way that it works, the mechanic wise, because I don't think we touched on this, if you generate $500 of on-chain volume, you're then able to generate codes that you're able to post out, right? So you have to be generating volume in order to get the codes, because like we wanted to stress how important they can be. And so it's not like there's an unlimited amount right now. And there is benefits to being in early, right? And to, even when the beta closes, the referral codes are still going to be very, very important to get out to the right people. And you never know who that right person can be. You can just post it out there, and if the right user comes in and uses it and they're just big on chain volume, you could do very, very well. So yeah, what I'll do is we'll tap into the community, get codes from them, and then we can use those to get out.
Yeah,
and I would say the one thing I've heard on some of the feedback is that the referral bonus might be a touch low, and that is something that we're also looking at in V2 and updating that to match the current standard or exceed it. We started with 2% and based it off some of our pack economics, and we just need to go back and relook that. And I think the adjustments will be made, and obviously the points will be retroactive. So that's something that we've heard from multiple users, and we're looking into this weekend as well.
Yeah, I need to get a code from one of these people as well. It's time for me to at least get on there, make sure I show my respects, maybe get a little loose on there for a bit and see what's all going on. It's been a little while since I've had a little fun, so probably need to jump in. So yeah, let me know if there's a certain person to show some extra love to jumping on their code. The other thing, there's 2 parts to this one. First, I think it's a really cool aspect of showing building on the chain with like not such a heavy token conversation up front, like showing the fact that you can get on and utilize a blockchain that has a strong infrastructure to build a company on chain but that the conversation isn't immediately around every aspect of tokens, whether it's company token or whether it's the blockchain's token itself. It's, hey, we're running this financial infrastructure within this layer one. I really love that's happening, and we can have just like, this is a company. This is a company. It doesn't have to be a Web3 company. It doesn't have to be it doesn't even have to say it's an Avalanche company. The infrastructure is Avalanche, but this is a company. And I think we get away from that topic and talk track too much of, crypto gaming is crypto gaming. It's a shitty game that you can make money on. Then there's this, and it's this Web3 company, but it's not a regular company. It's only segmented to this specific sector. You guys are building something that obviously the Avalanche community is heavy in it, but this can go and ideally does capture collectors. It's not Avalanche or crypto collectors. It's a collector's platform, people who love this space. And I just wanted to give a nod to that and the conversations around that, because that's the part that gets me so excited, and the kinds of things we're looking for on chains or in this industry to get everyday users to not realize they're on, that everything's crypto or whatever. It's just, oh, that's a place I can do something better than I could before I want in.
And that was a very deliberate decision from the team from day one. Is we've no plans for a token. We did not want to discuss a token because we're thinking long term and not short to midterm here. Because if we're really going to attract true collectors, if there is a token tied to it, at some point the token does not always go up, especially a token that is just created of there's no additional value. Like, we're using Avalanche as our infrastructure. We don't need a token to sustain ourselves. Like that, there is no other thing that we can use it for. So if we don't have a token, that there is no potential for the price to crash and the people to create all this fodder for a whale to dump a bunch of tokens, and then a true collector gets upset because they had a bunch they were exploring and they run away and never come back to Web3 or collecting on chain as a whole. So we wanted to make sure that we were not going down that route, that it was purely collector focused, powered by Avalanche, expand to Web2 users, get the app in the App Store, get everything moving, and just make it an all-inclusive environment. There was no potential for future, FUD, for better terms, to come on against YourGrails for something that it was never built to be.
Yeah, and as a heads up, we have LHB dropping 4 codes in the arena chat. He saw the people talking about it, and he said, "You know what? I can find that audience." Boom, chuck 4 in there. I put him down for myself, see if I can scoop one up afterwards. But if you use all of them, that's even more bullish.
Yeah.
So,
and that's perfect. I couldn't think of another, like, a better person than just another founder on. So yeah, use those codes, and then, like I said, if we use those all up, we'll get some other ones for you. And then worst case scenario, we can tap into ours, but we'll do our best to source codes from other community members for sure.
yeah, and you mentioned, because I don't want to make it a hard. I'm not sure if it's a hard no or not from you guys, but it's hard to deny that Collector Crypt is rocking cards, the token, and I haven't looked deep enough in to see how it integrates, things like that, but people are loving speculating on it. Ansem is talking about it, which is a pretty great place to be if you're a token, and several big funds. At some point, or is there conversation? I know you're from the backgrounds. It's very hard to do right, and it's very high risk. But is there a world where it does make sense at some point, or could be considered for you guys, a way to integrate some kind of token? You don't need to name it or anything, but I want to just open the door casually at some point in the future, not saying right now.
My personal opinion on this is we don't need to open the door. There's no need for it. Now, what Collector Crypt is doing is fantastic, and that model works for them, and they are exploding, and that's great. And I think this goes back to, a bunch of LCS stores do it differently, a bunch of vendors do it differently, and they all are successful. And I think that is a method that is succeeding for them and their community and what they're going after. And that's fantastic, but we don't have to follow that to be successful, and we just have a different end goal, but maybe take a different path, and we all end up in the same space together.
Yeah, I think it's also target audience, right? Like, they're okay with being the Web3 site. right? Like they might not have like, like they have now, because of that, have tied to like they can't be more than that, right? Or they'd have to scrap it. I mean, they could, but they'd have to scrap everything down essentially. Like it will be, which, again, it's clearly like they're doing well. They don't have to be more than that, but they're okay with taking into that niche and just being that right now. So I would also be at Zach, whereas no, but that doesn't mean like you can't see things like talking about like you with Salva, right? Like what Poly or what Earnings Bay did, right? Like you see these tokens that emerge where they do like the Salve Star token, right? Where it was a token that was buying the salvers. So there's things that people can do that can externally build off the site. But I think from an official team capacity and team support, I would also go no token because of like our long-term goals, like what we want to build this to be, right? Like we don't like, this is not like you were just mentioning, like this is not designed to be a web3 platform. This is not designed to be an avalanche platform. This is designed to be YourGrails, a collecting platform. But with that in mind, we want to make sure that avalanche benefits, right? The gas that we're burning, right? All those fees of the transactions, the RWA on the chain, like just what we're able to generate from an on-chain volume, from the transaction count. Like if you see in our battles, it's, you click a decent amount through the battles. Like the battles are doing 6-8 transactions on chain, right? So we're gonna, Avalanche in the long run will benefit from it. But it's not like we're just trying to zero in on a small niche. We have big aspirations and big goals for what YourGrails is. And I think ultimately in the long term of things, like Zach was saying, is a token is not everything always needs a token.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense for collector. Again, it's like you look at the landscape, what they're trying to be, what chain that they're on. Like it makes sense there. I don't know that that's the same. Like what we're trying to be, where we're at. I don't think it makes sense.
And
Yeah.
we can reward people in different ways. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be, a token buyback to drop slabs to people. Like we can we have a point system, we have a loyalty system, like most big Web2 companies do. Like there are ways and things that we can do to reward people without the potential for a massive dump, and that brings on all sorts of negativity around the product.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something that is it's very good to hear. And especially at this point, when a lot of companies jump to maybe what you'd call the short-term easy button, which is, throw a token out, get a little bit extra money, a little bit extra fundraising. It's another way to pull in funds. But when your platform is working really well, your fees are generating really healthy, your supply side is low, but your demand side's high, and you're about to even that out, all the recipe is there for a successful platform with a great team that loves the industry. So really cool to see that you've thought through a lot of those aspects. Amazing to see that you're using the technology, and truly for the way it is. I think this is one of the best onboarding tools we've had in a long time and that the industry has had. So I hope that, like some of these people you had test the platform early, that it's the beginning of a lot of people coming on, never really realizing what it is. And then maybe a little way down the road, they start asking some questions. They start wondering what else is on Avalanche. They start wondering what this industry is all about. And then they have the reason to ask those questions. They have the buy-in. They have the community. They've gotten to know people. That's usually the best onboarding experience you can have.
Yeah, and it's both sides, right? Not only user onboarding, but businesses, right? Because we're a living proof case of what you can, the benefits of building on a chain where you have low transaction fees. It's scalable to the level that it is, and what we're able to do. You're still not even able to do what we're doing on other chains, for example. So there is that benefit from both the user and business side that, obviously you have that trickle down, and that's what we want. There is a reason that we chose to build here in the way that we're going about doing it. But yeah, I think ultimately, it comes down to, long-term visions. Cause like I said, we are still very much 1 week in the beta. We have lofty goals that are not fully laid out. The site will look very, very different in 1 week, in 1 month, in 1 year, right? Like this is not something that we're like, hey, just trying to, like, hey, TCG has been booming the past 2 years. Let's try and tap into. Like this is something that, we've done for a living, we've done for a long time, that we're passionate about. And so again, I think ultimately it also comes down to, I think there's a right and a wrong way. And luckily we all kind of agree on the right way. And, just being that transparent and being real, like not faking certain things. And so there's just a way that we're going to conduct ourselves from the business side of things. And I just sometimes that doesn't always align with the token.
Yeah, and you're doxxed, which isn't always the case. You can have these conversations. Somebody can trust the person on the other end. They can message them. They can have a live stream with you guys. So, yeah, we've had a lot of time here. We've talked a lot about YourGrails, and it's been quite the eye-opening conversation. It was already exciting, but feels better to be a more informed. I happened to be out of town while YourGrails launched. I had no idea it was coming. Instantly, it was, of course, I'm out of town. Everyone's having fun. This is exactly how it happens every time I leave town. But I want to give you guys a chance. Anything you missed, anything you want to shout out, anything upcoming, jump into it, lay anything on the line. Go ahead and start us off, CG, and then wrap us up, Trading Aloha.
Yeah, I will say that you didn't miss anything, right? The fun is literally just getting started. If you thought that, again, we are very much in first week beta. I can't stress that enough. As exciting, as polished as the site is, as fun and entertaining as the battles are, all that stuff is base level, right? Like, we are going to provide that entertainment. It is a consumer facing product, but we have lofty goals for that entertainment layer. We felt like we've watched on the sidelines of other products being built, and we've are specifically targeting areas that we felt they were lacking. Whether it be the transparency, whether it be that social layer, we are going to aggressively go after those areas. So we're not just another carbon copy. Like, we could do a carbon copy and be successful and do well for the chain and benefit, but that's not our goal, right? Like, we're not in it just to bring that to the chain. Like, we want to do things that haven't been done before, innovate, hold a higher standard in the industry. So yeah, just don't feel late. Like, it is literally, this is the very beginning of something that I think is going to be a lot of fun for a long time, and hopefully provides that great user experience that we keep talking about for everybody. So yeah, stay tuned. We have a lot coming even in our next iteration, which is like Trading Aloha alluded to, is only like, maybe a week at most, 2 away. That will, just again, finding more unique ways to reward the users, to get people excited and entertained on the platform. And yeah, there's a lot coming. There's different packs coming. There's different, card types, like all those things that people have been kind of requesting. You'll see just in continued improvement on our end as we continue to grow and build this out.
Yeah, and I would say to wrap, I mean, you covered all of it. I mean, honestly, but
yeah, that's why I keep jumping in front of him. I'm being very smart. I'm like, all right, I got to go first because then I'll leave him with nothing to say.
That's right. But I would say, if you do have feedback or any suggestions, there is you can go onto your profile on YourGrails if you have access, or shoot YourGrails account a DM, or shoot me or CG a DM. I'm sure we'll be super responsive. But hit us with your feedback. Hit us what you like to see. We want to implement all those changes if we can. I mean, as we kind of talked about, everyone's been hyped on RWA for a long time, but most of it's been institutions. Most of it's been tokenized funds. This is like the asset class that the consumer can use on a daily basis and enjoy at the same time. So this is what everyone's been screaming for and wanting to see. So we're trying to provide that as a service for everybody, regardless of if you're on Avalanche or off it. I mean, you can buy packs using the CCTT bridge and just buy USDC from any chain as well, which then obviously comes into Avalanche and processes and rips. But we don't make it so you have to bridge USDC, but you can bridge USDC, or you can do it through the website and not have to go to a third-party platform, which may be exploited in the future. Like, you don't have to go to any of those bridging sites to approve transactions and forget to revoke them later. You do it all through the secure CCTP bridge. I don't know why I can't say that, and process the transaction. Also, offside of that, I would say, like, sure, let's throw out a challenge. Like, let's throw. I'm happy to throw a couple free packs to some of the best clippers that clip anything off the stream. So
Axe.
tag the YourGrails account, and when we're back up and running in 10 days, we'll get you. Actually, I'll get you the code. We'll pick the winner by the end of the next week, and we'll send you the code so it's ready to go. So you'll have access to the site and the free pack. So I'll throw that out there as well.
Yeah, and that was also another good call to action too. Is like, let us know specifically what you want in the packs. If you have a favorite Pokemon that you don't see enough of, if you like, yes, One Piece is coming. We hear the One Piece. We hear you. But let us know your favorite character. Let us know what Pokemon you like. If you want to see something more in the packs, this is the time to let us know. We are sourcing every single week, every single day, honestly. Ourselves, we have our sourcers. We have people that we can tap into. Let us know, like, not just improvements to the site. Let us know what cards you want to see. Like, we want to we want you guys to be as excited as we are. And our favorite Pokemon might not be yours, right? Like, I got my guy Squirtle, right? You'll see a lot of heavy Squirtle, Blastoise in some of the packs, right? Because those might have come from my PC, but it might not be everyone's cup of tea. Let us know who your guy is, who your girl, whatever it might be, your waifu, whatever it is, and we will get them in there. Just let us know. So that's another, and maybe maybe whoever has like the most creative one or whatever it might be, we could do some stuff too. But yeah, let us know what you want to see in there, and we'll get it in there.
But don't try to show us your one pop PSA 10 that you hold that you want us to go overpay for.
Yeah, I'm sure you get a lot of those messages. I'm glad to hear that you guys are dialed in. You're loving every minute of it. I actually got lucky enough. I had a conversation with Zac, Trading Aloha, back in London, and we actually had a conversation where he said to me, I want to do something. I don't know yet what it is, but I want to do something. I feel like I've got something in me to do something on my own or build something. I got to make the move. And it didn't happen overnight, but that mindset was there. And I get super pumped up seeing people make that move. And you make this move specifically, especially tying with other amazing people, CG, Polypup. If you need to shout out any other team members, I don't actually know any others other than that. So you can do that. But I just want to say shout out to hearing him talk about what he wants to achieve, what he's looking to do, and what would make him happy going forward and feel more fulfilled. And then fast forward a little bit later and right here, dialed in, really special moment to see come full circle.
I appreciate that, because I remember that conversation. And that is when post London Summit is when I think CG and I started talking about RWA getting a platform running. And it was like, we wanted to do it, just weren't in the right space. But it's like, we're going to figure out a way to make this happen. And it did. And the amazing conversation with you in London. That was a game changer. And I'm glad that we made the time to get together, because it was a hectic summit that week. And it all worked out. Walking dinner. It was good.
Yeah. Well, some people, I just saw somebody post today, like the value of, is it really valuable going to an event? Is it really valuable going to this or that? And like, I've never gotten business from an event. And I commented on it. Like, it's absolutely valuable going to an event. If you aren't getting business from it, it is the conversation that you are having at that event. It's you not having a plan. You're not meeting the right people. You're not knowing what you want out of it. Stuff's not going to just fall off a tree into you just because you showed up at an event. But I have met some of the best people at events. I've secured relationships a little tighter by going to an event. I didn't know CG or Trading Aloha before, like personally, before I went to the event. Then you meet them, you hang out with them, you go out, you make some time to meet up, and it builds more of that relationship. And some of the best relationships I've met is from going to an event. A lot of business is done at events, even if it's not then. It could be a year from now. It could be 2 years from now. Some huge deals have flown through an event. So I just want to give a shout out. If Summit's coming up, especially with Avalanche in September, that's an amazing event. I've gotten to go to Argentina. I got to London, saw both of you. And going to these events, they're hard. They're not always the easiest thing to make it out to if you have family and stuff. But picking and choosing your couple events to go to that is the community you either want to be a part of or are a part of, I promise you it will be a benefit to you, even if it's not the second you get there. At some point, if you stick with it and you keep building those networks, events will change the game for you professionally, personally, all the above? I don't. You guys probably have opinions on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I've said it for years in this space. Is a lot of times, you always see these little like lulls, right? Everyone, the if you've been in crypto long enough, it was always like the market would always kind of crash at right up to it, right at an event, right? Like everyone would be at the event, and then the market dips, and with all this stuff. But then, and that's like memeable, and it was always on the timeline. But then you saw like 6 to 8 months later, like something would launch or something, and it's like those things kind of all normally breed from these events, right? Like we in Trading Aloha, Zac had run in similar circles for a long time. And it wasn't until like I didn't meet him until he sat down at a lunch, with a previous employer. Whereas the first time I met him, and now look, here we are, right? And meeting you for the first time, and now the amount of times we've hopped on podcasts or spaces together and done things random. It was awesome, kind of meeting you. And I know mainly we just kind of met at like the bar, but even then we found like a little corner where we could kind of talk and officially say hello and get to know each other a little bit. But yeah, the amount of things that come from these events, like you said, right? Like there is something still like networking and word of mouth is still always the best, and being able to put a face to a name, it just allows conversations. It really is just an opening the door to conversations. But yeah, as you mentioned Summit, we will be boots on the ground at Summit this year in September. So we will be there. In what capacity? I'm not sure. We haven't really kind of gotten to that level yet, but I know whether it's from a official team standpoint or even just users, but we will be 100% boots on the ground. Regardless, I'll be, maybe I'll bring some slabs and do some cool stuff. But yeah, we'll definitely be there. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's, in the US this year, New York, pretty close stomping grounds for me. Pretty easy to get there. So I'm excited to take it to the big city.
Yep. And then to bounce back real quick, just to give a shout out to the full team, like, obviously me, CG, Polypup, and Roger Esports is our fourth co-founder. He's incredible when it comes to logistics, distribution, has the history of owning card shops, has the history of advising the early Whatnot team. Like we built this team around having the depth and expertise in each of our own lanes to make sure that we can deliver that experience, because we all can't be masters at everything, especially within the TCG space. But we got the right people that have the right experience in the right places to make sure that we deliver on all of those verticals.
That's awesome to see the rest of the team. I didn't know of the fourth member, but that is a crucial piece of supply chain, and the experience in that is one for the ages for sure. So I hope that everybody can make it out to Summit. They can meet up with all the characters right here, rip some packs, have some fun, get an update on what YourGrails is up to by September, which if it felt like 3 weeks to me and I was on the outside since this started, I can't imagine what 3 months from now feels like. We might be trying to get in line to talk to these two celebrities on Kane come September.
We're starting the road show this week and trying to get people hyped up and amped up about it, get more feedback, get in the room with the right people to take this to 5 levels from now. So we're working hard and tirelessly to make sure that this happens. So I'm hopeful that in September it looks completely different to where it looks today, and its leagues we're on like V9 or V10 by then.
Is there anything that people can be doing right now that would help you guys? If we're talking about this community, they do ban behind people, either on the consumption side or on the networks, the connections. What are things that would be helpful in this state that people might not realize?
I'll let you go first here, since I always jump in first, unless you're not ready. Like I don't want to.
No, I am. I think honestly, the first
my fault. I
foremost
just
thing.
said one person's name. No,
the first and foremost you're good. I would say feedback on the site is number one, just to get that customer perspective and user perspective, so we could get those front-loaded changes for the UI and UX, so it's a more seamless experience. The second thing is we're always open to collab and connect with pretty much everybody and anybody, because again, we're collector focused, passionate about the space as a whole. So like if there's people that we just want to talk to, just to build a relationship that may not turn out to anything, but just getting to know somebody, or maybe we can help them out down the road or vice versa. Like I would love to have those intros if anyone has them. Like we're always open to talk. And we've already had like 10 or 11 calls in the last couple of days just to get to know people in the space that we haven't met before, that are operating either in Asia or in different types of gachas and collectible platforms, just to kind of talk through what's going on. Exactly what we would do, exactly what I do as a vendor, to talk to other vendors, both in Hawaii and other card shows that I go to across the globe, just to see how things are done in a different perspective. So any intros and collabs are always more than welcome. We were on the Late Night on Base talk show yesterday with Bill, who's done a fantastic job integrating into the Avalanche community. And those type of connections are great because it gets the word out outside of Avalanche as well, to bring people in to check out not only YourGrails, but also to explore the Avalanche ecosystem. And he was extremely happy and pleased with all the interaction he's gotten from everyone in the ecosystem. I mean, Jason went on from the arena last week. Wrathtank was on yesterday as well, talking about the grotto, like things like that. Just simple conversations, simple introductions that could lead to not only YourGrails potentially being more successful, but the ecosystem as a whole to thrive.
Yeah, and then I would add, so that was obviously, you know, like that was my number one, and then I would add like a little challenge to the community, right? Like I think, you know, if you're like, you don't always have to be invested in something to like, support is not always financial, right? Like when we do ramp up and when we start, like we've done zero marketing, right? We none of that stuff because it doesn't make sense from the supply demand side yet.
Yeah.
When we do make those pushes, like it doesn't cost anything to post about it, to like, retweet, like all that stuff goes a long way, you know, and just on that, or even just word of mouth, is talking about, like, if you know Pokemon collectors, like this is not necessarily like a Web3 thing, right? Like it can be people that you know in real life. So like word of mouth is still some of the best marketing. You know, the feedback, the positive reviews, all that goes a long way. So, and again, like you don't necessarily be needing to buy packs to support us. Obviously, we would love that. And then, you know, I think also too, like educating yourself in the hobby. I know people don't love to read. And I always will challenge that. I'll always be a pioneer of reading the documents, whatever it might be. Because again, this is really where we separate ourselves, actually being transparent, actually being random, actually being real time and positive. Like all those things is not always done elsewhere, but that will be done here. And so if you're someone that's just in the hobby in general, not even specifically ours, I challenge you to go out and request, demand, ask from your current like platform that you're using for those things. Because the only way that this continues to go well, or not the only way, but another way that this really continues to launch and do well, is if the entire industry is meeting what, you know, the standards that we want to set here. So yeah, a little challenge to everyone to go out and just kind of, you know, educate yourself, because right, and even just like I'd mentioned with the one card, right? Just because you technically might pull a card that instantly is below the pack value that you bought into, doesn't mean you instantly have to sell, right? Like I know people don't always love to hold, but especially in a market that recently has been going up and to the right, you know, educate yourself on the card, right? You have a week to do a buyback, right? Like our 90% will stay there for 1 week. Like, yes, you can buy back instantly and sell back instantly, which is perfectly okay. But if it's a card that you like or something that catches your eye, maybe just look it up, like try and find a little bit about it. Is this something that has some real legs to go? So, you know, feel free to kind of, and hopefully that's what we want too, is people to get excited about the cards. And so maybe like, you know, do a little due diligence into the card itself or the hobby, because we spent a lot of time curating, getting cards that we believe will, you know, hold very well. We didn't want to just add random stuff just because it's slabbed. We were very conscious about go out and curating some quality cards to add to our site. So you know, be proud of what you got and post it. And if you're looking for content, like if you're posting on socials, nothing does better than posting cards right now.
Yeah.
And like just literally just post the card that you took it, take a screenshot and post it. You don't even have to post the battle, just post the card and you will get more likes, views, and stuff than I guarantee you anything you post crypto related. So, you know, feel free to use it yourselves. Like it is an instant growth hack.
Yeah, crypto Twitter, you may notice, is not the most traction around those posts. But if you want to take a look at the difference, go to my post from like a week ago when I put my binder on on X, the difference of engagement in that one Pokemon post, or even the fall post where I just posted a couple pictures of them, it was astronomical, the size. It's, you leave the little bubble for a second and you realize, oh, normal, like regular people are still out there engaging on the internet. This bear market's so small. It's this little teeny thing in crypto, but outside of it, TCGs are exploding. TradFi's, exploding up, not exploding as a negative. They're all going up into the right. Everybody's money is going up into the right in these other industries. So this depressed sentiment, sometimes it feels like the whole internet's like that, but it's just the CT bubble. Like you post content outside of that, and the communities are excited as ever. And TCG, like CG said, take advantage of it. If you want to build communities, if you want to get to know people in the trading card industry, you want your content to do a little better, you can see influencers all over milking it right now. Everybody's a TCG pack opener right now.
Yep.
They've been a diehard Pokemon person since day one. So big thing I want to highlight that he said, engaging content, that is free. That's just a little bit of effort. Putting a like on something, putting a comment about what you liked about it, reposting. For them today, what would be huge? And they're going to give you, they said they'll give you packs. They might even give you the codes, at least give you the codes. Clip this stream, clip what they're talking about, clip some of the highlights that you loved, because we don't know what you loved hearing on the stream. You know what you loved, and other people like you are going to love the same clip. So put those clips out there, tag us in it, and we will make sure that you get plenty of love back for that. It means a lot. That's how these companies continue to expand. That's how these algorithms work. Show up, show out for this group that's absolutely crushing it in week one. They're going to go big. These are the right guys to run it. They're the right team. And I'm excited. I'm gonna force them back on later this year. Even no matter how big they get, they're coming back on the show, and we're gonna get an update with how
live from Summit.
Always live from Summit. Yes, we absolutely should do it.
We'll run it back. We'll run it back. But thank you so much for coming on. It means a lot. You guys are top tier people. And that's why I was like, you know what? I'm blocking the stream out. I don't give a shit. I'm putting them on this stream because I need to hear from them, because these are the right guys. And every time I mention this, the brand of the show is built around introducing people to the right actors in the space that can help you get educated, learn more, and network with the right people, follow the right people, so that you don't become exit liquidity. So we appreciate you guys for being here. I am going to look out for one of those codes, because now I need to go rip some of these packs. And you guys have an amazing weekend.
You too.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Go Team USA.
Yeah, nice win.